Greetings again, everyone. Thanks for joining me. So we'll get started on page 1 with the analysis of A Dog's Life, a silent film from 1918. It has been said that a dog is man's best friend. That is because dogs tend to be unwaveringly loyal and loving toward their masters. Dogs can relieve stress after a hard day's work just by enthusiastically greeting the person with a wagging tail. Dogs do not judge people based on their looks or beliefs, call them names, or hold grudges. Perhaps dogs are loved so much because they treat people in ways that all humans should treat one another. Could the famous saying then be reversed to say a man is dog's best friend? If people treat their dogs well by providing shelter, nourishment, and love, then yes, the saying can go both ways. Mutual affection between a man and a dog is shown in the 1918 silent film A Dog's Life. Written, produced, and directed by Charlie Chaplin, in his debut film for First National Pictures, he also stars as his iconic character, the Tramp. A smaller to medium-sized dog, probably around 30 pounds, co-stars as Scraps, who the film describes as a thoroughbred mongrel. This is an oxymoron because thoroughbred, which normally is used in reference to horses, means being of one pure breed. Mongrel refers to a mixed breed or mutt. Scraps had mostly white fur with the exception of some dark spots around his left eye, his floppy left ear, and on his lower back near the base of his tail. This bore a striking resemblance to the titular dog from the popular 1990s children's television show Wishbone, who had very similar coloring, except his right ear was solidly brown and his left ear had brown spots. Although Scraps portrayed a mutt on screen, he may very well have been a Jack Russell Terrier in real life, just as Wishbone was. The film starts off by paralleling the struggles faced by Tramp and Scraps. Tramp sleeps on the dirt next to a dilapidated fence, while Scraps lays in an uncomfortable metal water bucket in another part of town. They come together when Tramp notices the dog eating some food on the ground. But Scraps is quickly overrun by a pack of aggressive dogs, leading Tramp to come in and carry the dog away. But since this is largely a comedy film, they do not get away so easily as another dog bites onto the tail of Tramp's coat. Tramp proceeds to spin around in circles in an effort to get the dog to let go. It does, but not before it rips off a piece of his pants from his behind. More physical comedy was shown in an earlier scene at an employment agency. Most men were hanging around outside because the only sign requesting help was for sewer work. But when brewery work was posted, Tramp was the first to go in. Despite this, Tramp gets bumped off of the waiting bench a couple of times. In a well-choreographed sequence with a frenetic pace, Tramp races to be served at one of the 2 job windows. But he ends up second in line 10 separate times before they close for good. This shows the pathos quality of Tramp and that it was easy to feel sorry for him as he just could not catch a break. The bulk of the film takes place in and around a bar and dance hall called Green Lantern. This had to be a popular place as it advertised beer for just 5 cents. But since the sign clearly says that dogs are not allowed, Tramp stuffs Scraps into his baggy pants. He gets a lot of double takes as the dog's tail is sticking out from the back of his ripped pants. The funniest part about that is when he bends over to tie his shoes near the band. The dog's furiously wagging tail hits the drum. This steady drumbeat completely bemused the drummer. There are several details in the film that add to its originality and charm. In the employment agency, there was a sign that read, "Don't spit on the floor." This did not add anything to the story, but it just spoke of the rougher clientele that waited around there and what was socially acceptable in some places. Another sign at the entrance of the bar said, "Look out for pickpockets." This sign proved to be foreshadowing, as the theft of a wallet was a major catalyst for the plot. Neither signs are likely to be seen in the developed world today, as most people know that spitting should only be done in certain places outdoors, and people should not need to be reminded to guard their personal belongings. The police also seemed to pop up whenever Tramp tried to take some food from a street vendor. Despite Tramp fleeing from them by rolling like a log several times underneath a fence, the police still looked professional and not overly silly. It was hard not to feel bad for the vendor, played by Chaplin's half-brother Sid, who Tramp and Scraps took food from in one scene, and then his lunch wagon gets shot up later on. But it was funny how the vendor greased his pan to cook food and then used that same brush to moisturize his oversized mustache. This film is an easy and enjoyable watch, as it is just over a half-hour long. This makes it a great introductory movie for anyone who has never seen a silent film or one of Chaplin's works. There are very few intertitles, as most of the simple plot can be inferred from watching the characters. Edna Purviance plays a bar singer who, like Tramp, faces some scorn from people. Perhaps that is why they are eventually drawn to one another. One of the thieves, played by Bud Jameson, looked a lot like Babe Ruth. There is some violence, although it is not too serious, as people get mugged, hit in the head with mallets and a bottle of beer, punched, and a man pushes a woman in her face. The biggest themes are friendship and to keep trudging forward no matter what obstacles are faced. The relationship between Tramp and Scraps is epitomized when they both try to fall asleep, and Tramp lays his head on the dog like a pillow. Anyone who has tried this in real life knows that the weight of a human head is still a lot to put on a dog, so it usually does not work comfortably. Perhaps Tramp should have known to let sleeping dogs lie, as Scraps likely would have let a sleeping Tramp lie. And I gave this film 3 out of 4 stars. Thank you for tuning in to hear my writing about the film A Dog's Life from 1918. And Until next time.